Hello everybody, and welcome back to this final video here in Module 5. We're going to be building our simple room. I'm going to go ahead and start by clearing up some of the things we left scattered in our level last time. Just going to go ahead and select it all and delete it. Reset the floor back to its original texture, and take out the back wall so that we have some room to build. Now, this is a assignment where you have some artistic freedom to build up whatever you'd like, but you're more than welcome to follow along. I'm going to go ahead and pop open my starter content, grab one of these floors, line it up, snap it to this grid, and then we're going to hold Alt and drag out a copy. And I think I want to make my floor about 4 by 3 of these, so let's go another copy, Hold Shift or Control to select multiple objects, hold Alt and drag out another row, and then Alt again, one more, 4 by 3. Looks fine by me. And now I'm going to hold Alt with the Rotate tool to rotate a wall up. Move that back, line that up to the back edge. Same thing with the side. All three, hold Alt, rotate up, and then hold Alt and drag them to the other side. And that'll give me 3 walls. Now I'm going to double check the corners here, make sure they're lined up how I like them. This is going to cause a bit of an error that I'm about to show you once I move the back wall into position. Notice that the back wall isn't on the floor, but the side walls are. So let's go ahead and select that back wall, hold Alt and drag a copy up to the front. And you'll notice that these 2 corner walls are intersecting. If I hold Shift and select them both at the same time, you can see this texture fighting that's happening in the corner, this clipping. So we're just going to fix that by grabbing these side walls and pulling them out. And same thing on the other side, just to prevent that little glitch from happening in the corners. And this is going to be the base for my little house. I'm going to need to take out one of these walls so that we can throw in a door hole. Oh, put it lying down. There we go. And just line that up with the rest of the wall. There we go. And then let's hit play and we'll walk at the door hole, make sure that the player fits nice. Yep, looks like we can enter our little house just fine. Alright, let's also go ahead and grab our player start and move that in front of the door so that we don't have to walk across the whole level to enter our room. Line that up a bit better. Alright, let's make the inside of the house a little bit more interesting. We're going to grab some of these walls, pull them in. We're getting some more of that clipping here, so we're just going to drag them in a bit. Seems good. Now let's also make this a little alcove. We'll grab the back wall, duplicate that in. Same thing, it's intersecting in the corner, so we'll adjust it slightly. And now this is the start of a very nice floor, but I think I want a second one, so I'm going to add in a staircase here in the corner. I'm going to go up to my Place Actors panel, pop open the panel, go over to my Geometry tab, and drag in a curved staircase. Then we want it turning the other way, because we want to put it in this back corner, so I'm going to go down to my Settings. Let's turn on counterclockwise and rotate it around. And then we'll line it up so that it briefly touches the walls on the outside corners. There we go. That looks fine. Alright, now we just need to make it tall enough to reach the top of the floor. So let's start plugging in some numbers, see if they work. Let's double the height of the steps. While we reach the next floor, let's walk the character over. But the individual steps are about knee height, so that sucks. We're going to have to adjust the numbers. Let's bring the step height back down. Let's go about 30, and let's increase our steps to 15. That's a little bit too tall. Let's go 14. Better. And if we go ahead and duplicate one of these floor tiles, let's go ahead and hold Alt, drag that up, and hold, and then hit End, and then move it slightly down so it snaps to the floor. 14 steps is just about right to reach a second floor. Perfect. Let's go ahead and grab all of our walls and we'll duplicate them up to form a second story. Hold Alt, drag them up, hit End, rotate around, make sure that they're all lined up properly. They are not. So let's just manually adjust these. There we go. Nudge those down, give it a little spin, make sure it all lines up. Hit play, give it a little test, walk up the stairs, and we make it just fine. Alright, let's keep going. So, we're going to go ahead and select the second story floor. Yes, and we could just delete it to hide it, but instead I want to just hide it in the outliner, so I'm going to go ahead and right click it. Going to go down to Edit, rename it. Going to name it Second Floor. And then we're just going to hit the little eye drop here. Oh, it's disappeared. Let's hit F to find it in the outliner real quick. Hit that little eyeball, make it disappear until we need it later. Now let's go ahead and lay out some stuff on the inside of this little alcove. We're going to go back to starter content. Let's pop into props. Let's start dragging in some models. Maybe let's grab some tables. We'll set it up like a little lounge area. Let's put a table right here, drag a copy, maybe add in a couple couches. Sure, throw in some chairs. No. Rotate them around. Maybe let's just do the one couch actually. And we'll spruce up the corner here in a bit. We'll move this couch up against the wall. Add another chair, I think, to fill up the corner over here. Don't like that. Let's just move this one into the corner. And let's put a little statue on top of one of these tables, just for visual intrigue. And then we'll go ahead and put a little plant in the corner. Let's drag in this bush. There we go. It's a bit dark in there. Let's go ahead and quickly drag in a light, just so that we can see what we're working with over here. Alright, and now underneath this bush, let's go ahead and make a pot. So we're going to come into our Place Actors panel, let's drag in a cylinder. Let's go ahead and move it slightly, shrink it down. There we go. Move it down again. Shrink it. Move it. Just keep adjusting it until it's where we like it. I want to basically give this little plant a pot to sit in. So we're going to go into our brush settings, and I'd like to shrink the bottom of this cylinder. So let's go ahead and rotate our camera around, see if I can't figure out a good way to select that bottom face. There we go. Should have it. Let's see if we got it. Nope, still selecting the whole thing. Alright, let's just make the top bigger since we can't make the bottom smaller. There we go, work smarter, not harder. Move that down, and then let's give it a little bit more height. There we go. That feels pot-shaped. Alright, let's go back to our selection mode. Scale it one more time. Let's turn our scale snap off. Make sure that it is maybe a little shorter. There we go. Move it down onto the floor. Move it into the corner. Oh, it's snapping above the bush every time I do it that way. So let's move the bush up. Then we'll snap the bush back down on top of the pot. There we go. So pot in position, bush in position, bush on top of pot. Wonderful. Alright, so now there's our little corner. Let's go ahead and select that light and delete it. Oh, that's the statue. Wrong one. There we go. And now the next thing I'd like to do with our little corner is light it. But before we get to that, I'd like to create a ceiling so that we can show off some interesting things about the lighting structure. So let's go ahead and pull back that second story floor. Let's search up floor. No, wait a minute. Let's search up second. There we go. Turn that second story floor back on. Create a couple of copies. Let's hold Alt and drag out a few more floor tiles. There we go. And let's go ahead and add a floor over this little alcove. And let's hit play and run in there. So right now, if we run into our little room, it's pretty dark, but hopefully over time, as I stand in these dark sections, like right in here inside the alcove, you can see that it takes the render a little bit to adjust to the darkness. And this is a setting called auto exposure that's meant to mimic the human eye with the player camera so that you can play through these dark spaces and still see just a little bit. So if that causes motion sickness, you can go into your project settings, inside of edit project settings, and then search for auto exposure and tick that off if you're not a fan of the adaptive lighting thing. Otherwise, let's go ahead and continue. Just wanted to get that out of the way in case you're curious about what's going on there. Let's go ahead and drag in some lights. So we're going to go to our blueprints menu, and I think that we deserve some ceiling lights here above our little lounge. So we'll just drag one in, line it up to the ceiling. Okay, well, not clipping through the ceiling. Let's bring that back down. Let's just try and get it as close as possible. In fact, let's go ahead and open up one of our orthographic views here. And go ahead and pop that open. Look to our right view, hit F, so that we zoom in on the ceiling light, and then just move it up into the ceiling. Let's turn off our grid snap and move it slightly down so it's just flush with the ceiling. There we go. And then we'll come back to our main perspective view. Move it over the table. Let's drag out a copy, hold Alt. Drag that over the other table, nice. Let's rotate around. Okay, we need to line them up the other way as well. Let's go ahead and pop open our orthographic views again. This time go to the upper view, hit F, and line them up using the top view to the middle of those tables. Need to pull back the bottom one just a bit. There we go. And now they're lined up properly with those tables. Let's go ahead and copy the ceiling tiles over a few more times, just to really close up this bottom floor. There we go. Readjust that one a bit. Alright. Now let's go ahead and hit play. So we go into our little house, and it is quite dark in there. Oh, let's make this full screen. Try that again. Run into our house. It's quite dark in here. And if we turn our corner, whoa, my camera's a little bit glitchy, a bit slow, but you can see we have our nicely lit room in there. Alright, let's go ahead and get out of here. Let's hit escape. Alright. But we're fine as long as we're not in there. So maybe my GPU is just having some trouble. Well, alright. Let's go ahead and add some more wall lights to lighten up this hallway a little bit. We'll add some wall sconces. Hold F, make sure they're facing the right way. They most definitely are not. Let's go ahead and rotate them 90 degrees. I want these up against the back wall, so we just want to make sure that they're facing away from it. Good. Let's quickly check in the unlit view. Oh, well, that didn't really help. So I want to make sure that this is up against the wall, so let's go ahead and pop into our orthographic views again. Hit F, zoom in, and we just want to make sure that it's flush up against the wall. Looks fine to me. Let's add a couple more copies. Throw them up against the back wall. There we go. And now there's a little trail of lights to light the way. Let's go ahead and hit play. Alright, now let's go ahead and delete some of these side walls because I want a little bit more light down there, but I don't actually want to add in more lights. Actually what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and select these three wall faces and we're just going to rotate them at an angle. I want them, 40 is a bit much, 50 is probably okay, 50 or 60. Let's try 45. Yeah, no, that's too much. Let's do 60. Alright, and what I'm going to do to these three walls is I'm going to turn these into a little glass ceiling. So I'm going to go into my materials folder, and I'm going to drag this glass onto them. And now that light shines through, and we can see a bit more of our house. Yep, there we go. And we've still got our little alcove in the back. Feels nice. Let's go ahead and add the little sidewalls on this glass alcove. I think that the best way of doing that is by dragging in a box brush. There we go. And because I have the glass material selected inside of my content browser, when I add in that brush, it automatically has that material on it. Let's go ahead and reshape it. There we go. Make it nice and thin. Line it up with the rest of the walls. There we go. And then let's go to our brush painting. Select some of these faces and pull this one out. Yes. We'll select these two vertexes by holding Control and, oh, didn't take, undo. Q for select, Control to double select, yes, good. And then move these over here, line them up with the corner of our wall. That's pretty close. Let's try and get a little bit closer. We'll turn off our grid snap. There we go. And then let's pull up the back two corner. So select that one, hold Control, select the other one, and drag those up. And that's our sidewall piece. So we'll go back to select mode, hold Alt, drag a copy to the other side, hold Shift. And line it up with the walls. There we go. Now I actually want to make sure that we are reaching the top of the other walls. So before we go any further, I think I need to make the diagonals a bit taller. Let's go ahead and select those, and we're just going to scale them up so that they meet the same height as the side panels. So we want that effectively. Let's go ahead and undo, select all three panels, scale them out a little taller. Let's go into our orthographic side view. Oh, reselect the walls, hit F, There we go. And we just want to scale them up until they feel about the right size. There we go. Now that that's done, we need to, once again, fix our little side panels. We're going to go ahead and delete one, and then readjust the other. So we need to go back to our brush painting mode, grab our corners, hold Control, there we go, and pull them up, adjust them to meet the other corner. We can line them up a little bit better in our orthographic view. And then same thing with our back corners. Pull them up and line them up with the edge of the other wall. There we go. And then we'll go ahead, go back to our selection mode, hold Alt again, and drag a copy back to the side. Oh, didn't have my snap on. Let's try that again. There we go. Lined up perfectly. Good. Now let's go ahead and add in a ceiling. Oh, I am missing a wall piece here, so we'll just quickly duplicate that in. And now, let's not bother moving this piece around. Let's just duplicate all of the floor on the second floor. Let's just select all of these pieces and duplicate them. Hold Alt, drag them up. Up, 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 up. Hit end. There we go. Oh, the middle two pieces fell through. So we'll have to go ahead and get rid of those and just drag out new copies up here. And then we need to plug in the little holes over here. Add in some new walls, scale them short. There we go, that feels alright. And let's go ahead and make these glass as well. Let's go ahead and hit play. Oh, my game is incredibly laggy. Oh, and I've fallen behind the stairs. Let's go ahead and fix that. Yes, we have a hole back here. Gotta patch that up. So we're gonna go into our brushes, and I think the best way of doing this is just by filling the space with a box and then subtracting the missing space. So we'll go ahead and scale up this box. Oh, but I still have the glass selected, so let's delete that, deselect the glass, Control click that, and then drag in a blank box. There we go. And now let's make this box nice and big. We want to fill up that corner. Let's move our stairs out of the way and get this box nice and big. We want to fill up that whole corner. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut the stairs out of it to get a nice smooth slope. So let's go ahead and get this cube nice and big. Oh. Let's make sure it doesn't snap up. Don't really care that it clips through the back, but okay, let's go into our brush editing and move the top of the cube down. Let's turn off our step snap so that we can get it flush with the floor there. There we go. Alright, so here's our cube. Now it's time to subtract away from it, so we're going to go ahead and grab our staircase, pull a copy of it, hold Alt, and we're going to put it on subtractive. And now we'll put this back where the other staircase was. So we'll line up the corners against the wall. Push this in a little bit more this way. Same thing on the other side. Bit harder to tell with the cube there. Let's go ahead and, oh, that might be a bit too far. Let's go ahead and double check inside our orthographic views. Hit F, let's look at it from the top. Okay, we've got it lined up well, good. So this is where we want it. Now we need to make sure that we are in subtractive. We are. Let's go ahead and make it quite a bit taller. Let's go ahead and just crank up the step height. And actually, let's try decreasing the number of steps first. Okay, that just gives me a trapezoid. That's not going to work because we want that curve. So we need to change our number of steps back. So our number of steps was 15. There we go. And now we've got that nice smooth curve. Let's see if we can get away with a slightly shorter staircase. No, let's leave that back where it was. 500-ish? Yeah, alright. And now we're going to go ahead and select this face. We're going to go ahead and extrude it out this way. Good. And now we've got that nice smooth curve in there. Now we just need to remove this aisle here in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back to our selection tool to pop our place actors menu back, grab a cylinder, and then we'll just drag this roughly in position to get rid of that island in the middle. Oh, disappeared on me. There we go, let's just drag that sort of in the middle here, make it nice and tall, set it to subtract, and now we're getting rid of that aisle in the middle. Let's rotate around. Oh, still missing a couple faces, so we'll just adjust it there. And then we're missing this back face, so we also need to do an extrusion on our chair, on our stairs abstraction. Why do I keep saying chair instead of stair? Let's go back to our brush editor, select this negative face over here by clicking the inside of this staircase. There we go. And we'll just extrude. Let's see if we can do it. There we go, select that face. And we're going to go ahead and extrude it out this way. There we go, let's go back to select, click off of it, and we now have that nice cut in the corner. But we're getting a little bit of texture clipping here, so one more time, I think we need to adjust our cube. We'll go to our brush, and then we'll just move this face back a bit to get rid of that texture clipping error. There we go. Alright, now that we've got our alcove fixed, let's go ahead and move our stairs back into position, go back to select mode, drag our stairs back in, and it looks like our subtractions are deleting a portion of our stairs. So I believe that this is caused by an order issue. In previous versions of Unreal, you could search for order or Z order and switch around the order in which the subtractions and additives affected the models. Let's see if I can't find it in here. No, not seeing it. Let's go ahead and simply search for order. No dice. Alright, luckily there's a workaround. If we just make a fresh copy of the staircase, it'll be the newest piece of brush material. We can delete the old one, and the new one won't be affected by the subtractive brushes. Let's move the staircase back into position, line up the corners. We can double check our top view, make sure that they're lined up properly. We've got to scoot it down a bit, there we go. And now if we hit play, let's go ahead and walk up our stairs. Oh, let's full screen it. Now we can bump into this nice little curve, and it pushes us up the stairs. Oh dear. Let's quickly check how my GPU is doing. Oh. Oh, yeah, there we go. My graphics card is not having a good time right now. Alright. Well, let's just put a couple more finishing touches on this little house, and then I'll call it good. So we have this little glass alcove. We can see that our ceiling has a little bit of a hole up here, so we need to move these tiles down just a smidge. Now we could just manually adjust it by turning off our step snap, or we could go to one of the tiles that is correct, copy this Z value, and then paste it into the Z value on all of the other pieces. Let's see if that worked. No, it didn't. Let's try it one at a time. There we go. So select a piece, paste in that Z value. Next piece, same thing. Good. Now one other thing is that I don't really like this gap that we have in the middle of our glass pieces here. So we're going to go ahead and delete 2 of them. And then I'm just going to increase the Y scale of this one by 3. So that we have a single piece of glass. There we go. And now one other final thing we can do, I'm going to return to our little alcove, I'm going to grab our little potted plant, and I'm going to drag a copy onto that little ledge we made behind the stairs. So let's hold Alt, drag up a copy, and I just want to put that in the little nook we have above the stairs. We'll drag it over there, hopefully. Sometimes the brushes and the mesh don't like to interact well and they'll snap into each other. So right there, you can see that my pot is now sticking halfway through my bush. So we need to move our bush up, move our pot down. If we try to move them together, sometimes they'll glitch out. Yeah. Alright, let's just get our pot into position. Stop snapping in weird places, please. Thank you. There's our pot. Move our bush. I think we should shrink the bush down a little bit, just so that it doesn't clip through the glass. Let's give it a little rotate. That looks cute. Very good. A few more finishing touches. Let's go ahead and paint this pot since it's out in the open. Remember that if you attempt to drag a material onto the mesh, each side of the BSP brush faces is treated like its own little object, so you can have to drag that material onto each and every face individually, as we did in the last video. So here we go, let's just slap the wood onto each face. Bing, bang, boom. It's being a little bit finicky with me. There we go. Let's see if we can give the top portion under the bush a different material. Oh, that didn't help. Let's just bring it back to the wood. Metal's not gonna help it. Yeah, let's just bring it back to the wood. I was hoping we could find something a little bit darker. Alright. And now we need to fix the stair so that it looks like the same material as our wall pieces. So if we select one of these walls and click this folder arrow with the search icon underneath its material, that'll take us to the correct material to apply on this mesh. Now we can click and drag it onto every face like we did for our pot, or we can go to these little selection tools here inside of our BSP brush, select all of these faces together, and apply the material all at once. Oops, missed one. And same thing on the stairs. Go to our select faces, select all of them, matching brush, and slap that basic wall material on it. Good. Now, as mentioned previously, there is a bit of artistic freedom. You are welcome to do whatever you want, but if you've been following along, then you have this large empty second floor, and I encourage you to fill that up, spruce it up the same way we did our little alcove down here. Add whatever props you see fit to make it your own. Make it fun, make it interesting. Now I'm very quickly going to pull over D2L, and let's take a look at our week 5 assignment. So as we can see here, it says to post an OBS video of you walking in your room to YouTube and link it to the discussion forum. But if your video was just as choppy as mine was while you were playing through it, then here's a little thing you can do that might earn you a little bit of grace points. Close as many windows as possible and arrange your camera somewhere nice. Now if you pay attention to this little player start thing, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the G key, and that's going to disappear. And now we're going to go to this drop down in the top left of the viewport, and you're going to go to high resolution screenshot, and you're going to click yes, and it's going to create a little file. You can go ahead and click this link, and that will give you an image of your viewport. This is a very nice and easy way of getting screen snips out of Unreal that are fairly high resolution. So you'll want to take one of your little house and one of any of the little rooms you decide to make. So let's take another one here. And you can always click on this little pop-up to find your image files, and just upload those to your discussion post alongside your video. That's going to do it for this video, as well as for Module 5. Tune in next week where we are going to be sprucing up our house with some more assets.